Hey guys, welcome back. Lindsay from L&J here, and today we are going to be talking about traveling with your dog and the things that you need to know to make your next trip successful. I've traveled with a lot of different dogs in a lot of different cities, and the first thing that I want to get into is the fact that not every trip is going to be right for every dog. Knowing your dog's limits and the restrictions is going to be the best way to decide if they're coming along for the ride or not. Personally, I wish I could take my dog everywhere with me. However, he is a dog with specific issues that need to be considered, even with years of training under his belt. Having options and a backup plan is a great idea when you're planning a trip, with or without your dog. Before you even begin packing, make sure that you have a list of emergency vets close to where you will be staying and that your pet is up to date on their vaccines. The last thing you want to do is be in an emergency situation and trying to Google the closest vet. If you're taking a long trip like Justin and I did when we moved across the country, you may have to make a long list of vets along your trip. And this may seem a little tedious. If something happens, you're gonna be glad that you did. As for packing, I like to pack 2 bags anytime I'm traveling with dogs. The first bag consists of things that my dog will be using once we arrive and is stored in the back with our luggage. The second bag will be items we use in transit and is stored up front with me. The first bag has our dog's food bowls, foods, medications they may need while we're away, including flea medication and allergy medication, potty pads, and belly bands. If you aren't familiar with belly bands, they're used for boy dogs who like to pee on things that they shouldn't, and they work like a diaper. They are a lifesaver if your dog is not neutered and you're staying in a hotel room. I like to bring one of their favorite toys in their bed or blanket on trips as well. I try not to overpack toys because in reality, your dog probably won't be playing too much with them, and one should probably be enough for a trip, but you do you. And the second bag I keep up front and easily accessible. I'll put their water bowl, bottled water, treats, wet wipes, poop bags, and Dramamine. Wet wipes are going to be crucial for when your dog's belly is feeling a little upset and their stool is a little more loose than usual. If they get any on themselves, you'll want something to easily clean them up so they're not stuck in the car with a poop smell. I also like to keep wet wipes around for their paws in case they get into something that I don't want on my seats. Dramamine is considered to be a safe medication for dogs, but you should of course consult your vet before giving it to your own dog. My dog loves to quietly vomit in the back seat and try to eat it when I'm driving, so we use Dramamine. Don't forget your dog's kennel as well. They can be annoying to pack up in the car, but they're such an important tool to have. I also recommend picking up air tags if you're traveling. They're great to throw in your luggage to make sure you don't lose anything, and they make attachments for your dog's collar as well. Traveling can be stressful for dogs, and stressful situations can make dogs act unpredictable. Knowing you have a way to find your pet if they get lost is so important. Now that we have everything packed up and ready to go, deciding where your dog is going to ride in the car could be a life or death decision. The safest way would be in a kennel that they're familiar and comfortable with. The brand Impact Crates has some stories on their website about car accidents involving their kennels. In all 3 stories, the dog being secured inside the kennel saved their lives. This is where I'd usually get into the importance of kennel training, but we're gonna save that for another time. Some people will use seatbelts to secure their dog, which is a fantastic idea. Keeping your pet secured in one location in the car keeps you undistracted and safe while driving. In the event that you're in an accident, your pet could be ejected from the car or try to run away because of the chaos of an accident. There are also various hammock options to create more space for your pet in the back seat while still having them be secure. This is what we opted to do when we drove cross country with our dog. Because of the length of the trip and the training that we were working on at the time, this is just what worked for us. Finding the best solution for your situation may take trial and error, but always keep your pet's safety and best interest in mind. When planning your travel, try to include a few more stops than usual if it's a long trip, but make sure to never leave your pet alone in the car. I know it'll only be a second, but sometimes that's all it takes for someone to seize an opportunity. Travel can make dogs restless and sometimes cause an upset belly. Frequent stops allow for them to stretch their legs, relieve themselves, and get some fresh air. It is also important to consider the climate you're traveling through. I've had to stop in the desert before to let dogs go potty, and the sand was so hot it would have burnt their paws. We had to get creative and lay down potty pads outside for them to stand on and use. We probably looked crazy to cars driving by, but honestly, you have to be flexible. Limiting your dog's water and food intake right before a trip will help reduce stomach issues, but restricting water completely is really dangerous, and it's not something that I would recommend doing. The last tip for car travel that I have is just make sure your car is clean. You don't want to be driving down the highway and hear your dog crunching on a Taco Bell wrapper left under the seat and then deal with the aftermath of that. Trust me. Traveling by plane can be a little bit more difficult if it is your first time because every airline is different. If your dog is under 15 pounds, you may be able to bring them in the cabin with you. However, most airlines include the bag and the weight and require your dog to be able to stand up, turn around, lay down inside the carrier. Depending on the airline, some will check out the dog and make sure that they fit properly, and if they don't, you can't fly. While other airlines take your word for it and will just send you on your way. Some airlines consider the carrier to be a carry-on bag, which is important to note when packing, because you may be paying extra baggage fees if you didn't plan properly. All pets need to be in a TSA-approved carrier for their safety. Check with your airline to see if they allow large dogs to be held in cargo, because this could be an option for some people. But most don't offer this, and a lot of people feel uncomfortable with leaving their pets in cargo. Another thing to look into would be what vaccines are required to fly. If you're going to be in an area where your pet may need to be quarantined upon arrival, this is something you're going to have to look into. If you've made it onto the airline with your pet, congratulations. You'll want to make sure your dog has pottied before the flight and have a cleanup kit with you in case your dog does have an accident in the carrier. Airlines typically don't allow pets to be taken out of their carriers, so make sure that your pet is accustomed to the carrier before you stick them in it for the first time and go on an airplane. Make sure that they're comfortable and do not sedate them before the flight. Sedating a pet that will be zipped into a carrier is dangerous because you will not be able to closely monitor them for any side effects. Now that you and your dog have arrived at your location, hopefully you've researched where you're staying and made sure that it is pet friendly. Some locations will not have information listed, but a quick call and you will have your answers. Never assume it's okay because you just don't want to be stranded somewhere with your dog and luggage. Asking about weight and breed restrictions may be relevant to you as well. There is a great website called Bring Fido that I absolutely love. It helps you find pet-friendly places and other dog owners can leave their experiences so you won't be left wondering just how dog-friendly they really are. There is a hotel in New York City that allows dogs of any size and even provides them with their own bathrobe and bowls with their names on it. There are definitely hotels out there that are geared towards pet owners, but these luxurious hotels usually come with a hefty price tag. During our cross-country trip, we mostly stayed at La Quintas because I knew they allowed dogs and we didn't ever have a problem. Once you arrive at your hotel, set up your dog's kennel and make sure that they have a space that they feel safe in. Once they've relaxed, take a look around for the closest potty areas. Check for signage. Make sure that you clean up after your dog and alert management of any issues. This applies to Airbnbs as well. Most Airbnbs will list if they allow pets or not. If you have your heart set on a place, just check with the owners. Some just want responsible dog owners, and if you're watching these videos, you're obviously a responsible dog owner. If your destination is a campground, Check which trails are dog friendly and which trails allow off-leash walking. If you opt for an off-leash trail, make sure that your dog's recall is good before you go. If your dog is still learning recall, off-leash hiking may not be a good choice yet. Camping with your dog can be an amazing experience, but make sure you have a first aid kit on hand and that you are properly treating your dog for fleas and ticks before you hit the trails. Most campgrounds have rules for dogs that include rules about barking, leashing, and aggression. Never leave your dog unattended at a campsite, and always check their paws for burrs and foxtails before bed. Let me know in the comments if you have any other tips for traveling with your dog. Remember, be the person they think you are. Be kind, and I'll see you soon.